diets may cause depression, and what you can do to improve your brain function right now. Hey everybody, welcome to Health Theory. Today's guest is Dr. Daniel Amen, a double board certified psychiatrist who also happens to be a 10-time New York Times bestselling author. He is arguably the world's foremost expert in brain scanning, and he is responsible for scanning roughly 100,000 brains in his career. Discover magazine named his breakthrough brain imaging work as one of the top 20 stories in science in 2015, and the Washington Post called him the most popular psychiatrist in America. Now, having said all of that, knowing what you know about the brain, how do we take a good brain and make it great?
Well, I love that idea. It's really three simple things. And the first thing is you have to care about it. When I first scanned myself in 1991, it wasn't good. And just the week before, I'd scanned my 60-year-old mother, and she had a gorgeous brain. And so I created brain envy. I wanted her brain. So here I am. I'm a double board certified psychiatrist. So for people who don't know what that means, so I'm a general psychiatrist, and I have a specialty in kids. I'm a child and adolescent psychiatrist. I'm a physician. I'm highly educated, and I don't care at all about my own brain. Right? I love watching football on Sunday, and when I saw my brain, I'm like, ouch, this can be better. And so how do you make it better? Well, the second thing is you avoid anything that hurts it. I have a mnemonic we can talk about called Bright Minds. It's if you want to keep your brain healthy, you have to prevent or treat the 11 major risk factors that steal your mind. So, brain envy, gotta care, avoid things that hurt it, do things that help it. And so what have we learned? That exercise boosts blood flow to the brain. Not believing every stupid thing you think calms the anxiety centers in the brain. Things like omega-3 fatty acids get your gut right, because your gut makes most of the neurotransmitters in your body. Well, the little tiny habit for brain health is before you go to make any decision, you ask yourself, is this good for my brain or bad for it? And if you love yourself, because it's never about should. As soon as you think you should do something, you won't do it. Just because we're all 4 years old in our head and rebellious. It's you answer the question in a positive way because you love yourself, because you love yourself, your wife, your life, your mission. That's why you do the right thing. Because too often people go, oh, well, I can't have this and I can't have that. And as soon as you get into that deprivation mindset, it's not going to work.
It's really interesting to me how often the answer that you push people towards, whatever their struggle is something that I'll call soft. Love comes up a lot, attachment, not being lonely, like things that you would expect a psychiatrist to give you a pill for. You've traditionally shied away from that. Obviously, it can be very profound, but that you're leading people to do maybe easier or more basic things first. What are some of the just dead simple, easy things that people should be thinking about with protecting their brains if they want to answer, I want to do something that's good for my brain, but they don't know what that is?
So I went to my daughter's second grade class, and I put 20 things on the board, and I went,
20 things that are good for your brain? Just 20 things.
10 of them were good, 10 of them were bad. And I'm going to separate them for me. They got them all right,
really?
Except one thing.
Marijuana?
Orange juice.
Really? Okay.
They put it in the good category, when in fact it's got way too much sugar. And whenever you unwrap sugar from its fiber source, it turns toxic in your body. And so is this good for my brain or bad for it? Or is it good for my child's brain or bad for it? And they come to you and they want to play football. Where does that fall? It falls in the bad category. Brain is soft, about the consistency of soft butter. Your skull is really hard and it has sharp bony ridges. No, don't let them do that. And I had one billionaire, he goes, but my son really wants to do it. And I've hired this, NFL coach. And I'm like, oh, well, if he told you he really wanted to do cocaine, would you go get him a dealer? Because it's the same freaking thing, right? Because I have scanned, we have 150,000 scans on people from 120 countries. And contact sports damage the brain about the same as cocaine.
Whoa. I knew it was bad. I didn't know it was that bad.
So, and we had talked before we started about I tend to get myself in trouble. And about 10 years ago, we started the world's first and largest study on football players, on professional football players. And the level of damage is sad. But 80% of them get better when we put them on a rehabilitation program. So even if you've been bad to your brain, you can make it better, and I can prove it.
I've spoken to my audience about it before, but the thing that led me to you was massive anxiety that seemed to be getting worse by the day. And one of the things that helped me was crushing the ants, the automatic negative thoughts, and becoming a pattern interrupt and stopping that. Walk people through some of the things that aren't necessarily, because we'll get into diet, but that aren't diet related, that are really just the way that they allow themselves to think, whether it's the brain getting stuck and looping around repetitive negative things, whether it's negative thoughts that they never interrupt. Like, what are those things that really cause people problems that they may not even be aware of?
We have a brain health assessment online. People go to brainhealthassessment.com and go, which of the 16 brain types do you have? So let me take just a step back and I'll answer that question. Whenever I see someone, so if you came to see me, I'm always thinking about the 4 circles of your life. So I'm thinking about your biology. So with anxiety, my first thought is areas in your emotional brain just are working too hard. And so it's driving that anxiety. So what's the biology? What's the psychology, which is how do you think, and the environment that you grew up in? What's the social circle? Because if you're around a lot of irritated, angry, negative people, you're more likely to be anxious. And what's the spiritual circle? Why do you care? Why you're on the planet? What's your deepest sense of meaning and purpose? So I'm always thinking bio, psycho, social, spiritual. And that way I end up helping whole people, not just, oh, you're anxious, take Xanax. Because that's the quick answer that if you go to Kaiser, for example, and I just hired a doctor from Kaiser and he saw 25 patients a day. So the 25 patient a day answer is Xanax. Let me give you a benzo. And the problem with it is once you start it, it's insidious. It changes your brain to need it in order to feel normal. And so I'm like, so how else can we quell your anxiety? So there's some simple supplements like GABA, or one of my favorites, magnesium, that can be really helpful. But the psychological one, there was one day I was at work and I saw 4 suicidal patients, and that's hard for me. And then I saw 2 couples who hated each other, and 2 teenagers who ran away from home. And so at the end of the day, I was worn out, and I came home to an ant infestation in my house. And I'm cleaning up thousands of ants, and I'm like, and then it just hit me, ant. Automatic negative thoughts. My patients are infested. And the next day, I went to work with a can of ant spray. And I put it on my coffee table. And I'm like, we need to help you get rid of these things that are infesting your mind. And they liked that. It was just something they could grab onto. So here's the exercise. Whenever you feel sad, or mad, or nervous, or out of control, I want you to write down what you're thinking. And ask yourself if it's true. And I have a process, so I don't know, if you want, we could do it together. Pick a thought, any thought you want to share, and I'll teach you how to put a stake in it.
This is never going to work.
Okay? So here are the 5 questions. Is it true?
It certainly could be true, yeah.
But is it true?
I can't say definitively.
I don't know.
Sure.
But,
yeah.
Because I am not a fan of positive thinking. I'm not.
Interesting.
Positive thinking kills way too many people. I'm a fan of accurate
What do you mean
thinking.
it kills too many people? What do you mean?
So they did a study at Stanford, 1921, on 1,548 10-year-old children. And they followed them for 90 years, looking at what goes with success, health, and longevity. And it wasn't the don't worry kids. It wasn't the happy kids. In fact, the don't worry, be happy kids died the earliest from accidents and preventable illnesses. The kids who lived the longest were the conscientious kids. The kids who said they were going to show up at a certain time and they show up on time. The kids who got their homework done. The kids who were responsible, who actually had a bit of anxiety, because anxiety prevents you from driving at 125 miles an hour down the freeway in the rain, right? You need some anxiety. Obviously, too much makes people suffer. So this isn't going to work out. Is it true? I don't know. The second question is, can you absolutely know with 100% certainty it's not going to work out?
No.
No. Third question, how do you feel when you believe the thought it's not going to work out?
Bad. Anxious. You feel uncomfortable, impending doom, this sense that, it's overwhelming, you don't want to look at it, you want to turn away, you want to go do things that are fun, that are just easy, immediate gratification, eating the marshmallow immediately. It's sort of all at a limbic level, it's just emotion.
And then how do you treat other people when you believe the thought?
If I were to give into it, you're going to be grumpier, grouchier, shorter with people, or just sullen and quiet.
Yeah, so is it true? I don't know. Can I absolutely know that it's true? No. How do I feel when I believe the thought, anxious? Worse. I mean, it's fueling the thing that makes you naturally upset. Fourth question is, who would you be or how would you feel if you didn't have the thought? If you couldn't have the thought?
Certainly better, for sure. And I'm gonna start pushing you because one, I want this to be useful in my own life, and then two, I want people listening for it to really be useful. I find that there's a certain point where the anxiety kicks over into it feeling purely biological. And what I mean by that is I can't differentiate between being cold and being anxious. They're the same physical sensation. So I'm like, am I just cold, or is this an exacerbation of the anxiety? And so one of the quotes that has just seems so true to me in my life, and this isn't how they meant it, but this is, you'll understand in a second why it's always rang so true. The only thing to fear is fear itself. So the only thing that I have to fear when it comes to public speaking is anxiety. It's like, if I didn't have to worry about the anxiety, I'm not worried about the performance or the outcome. I've done it so many times. And so before I go on stage, I have to meditate to calm everything down, to slow my breathing, to get the blood back into the right areas of my brain.
So in that situation, there's not negative thoughts that are driving you.
Right, so in the beginning I had to learn to stop that loop from even starting by killing that initial thought, which is why that was so powerful for me.
So, killing the ants it's a biological treatment too, because when you believe these negative thoughts, it changes your physiology immediately. So, how would you feel if you didn't have the thought? Better, you said. So the fifth question is my favorite question. That you take the original thought, this will not work out, and you flip it to the opposite, to the exact opposite, not the narcissistic opposite, which is I will be the best ever. So the opposite of it, this will work out. Do you have any evidence that that's true? If you're thinking about, whatever the situation, it won't work out.
Historical performance, sure.
Just like once in your life or more than once?
Depending on what we're talking about, no, it could be years of success at something.
Right. Somebody on my board just this morning, I'm dumb. And then when we switched it to I'm not dumb, she had like 50 reasons why she wasn't dumb, right? But if you don't challenge your thoughts, if you don't question your thoughts, you believe them 100%, and then you act out of the belief. So learning how to clean that up is really important, but sometimes there are remnants of anxiety that are not driven by the negative thoughts, and their diaphragmatic breathing is so important. So if I was you, and I used to be you, because before I'd speak I'd be very nervous. And I was on the speech team in college, but I couldn't hold paper in my hand because it would shake. It was like really irritating. And so I became masterful in diaphragmatic breathing. And it's super simple. I put people in my office on the floor, put a book on their belly, and I teach them when you breathe in, make the book go up. When you breathe out, make it go down. The trick is big breath. Take twice as long to blow it out. So it's like 3 or 4 seconds in, hold it just for a second, and about 8 seconds out. And that triggers a parasympathetic response. So you know the difference between the fight or flight response. You have a sympathetic response. We're really anxious. Our hands get cold. So that's the cold connection. They start to sweat. Our muscles get tense. Our breathing becomes shallow and fast, which is inefficient for the brain. And you want to run away or you want to hit something. You want to trigger the opposite. It's called a parasympathetic response. And that breathing pattern will do it. Also, holding something warm will do it as well. And for some people, they'll just put their hands under warm water. And if you can get in a sauna, that's great. Or get in a hot tub. You can't do that before you speak. But.
So what is, like, if somebody comes to you, I know you're going to say that you scan the brain, like it's a bit tough for everybody watching at home, but what are like the basic protocols for some of the most typical things that you see? Are you starting with diet? Are you starting with exercise? Like, how do you get people to take the sort of edge off whatever they might be experiencing?
Well, I'm usually working always in those 4 circles. So, yes, I'll scan them. If I don't look, I don't know. But not everybody can do it. So in Change Your Brain, Change Your Life, I think that's my book you read. There's questionnaires that go, oh, well, you're more likely to have a limbic issue here, or a basal ganglion anxiety issue with these symptoms, or prefrontal cortex issue, which is so common for us. And then I'll go, oh, well, if this is likely the issue, these are the supplements I would think about. And I tend to start with supplements. I mean, unless you're schizophrenic or you're a brittle bipolar person, I generally start with supplements first. And so at home, people can go to brainhealthassessment.com, find out which of the 16 types they have, and then we'll work on the biology. Along with biology, yes, you should exercise. Of course you should. And there's certain kinds of exercise, especially coordination exercises. So racket sports, by far my favorite. Very few head injuries, but they work your cerebellum. And the cerebellum, I think of it as the Rodney Dangerfield part of the brain. It gets no respect, even though it's 10% of the brain's volume, but has 50% of the brain's neurons. Can you imagine? Something that has half the brain's neurons actually gets very little coverage in the scientific media.
And so what is the cerebellum doing? Is it to do with coordination?
Well, that's what they used to think. Yeah, coordination, movement. But now we know 80% of it is dedicated to cognition and emotion. And
Cognition in what way? Just like general processing? Or
processing speed.
You want to talk about something near and dear to my heart. I would love to be able to process raw data faster. That's how I think of it. I'm assuming then that's cerebellum. So I start playing table tennis. That's step 1. What else? What am I supplementing? What other activities am I doing?
So, a racket sport. If your wife likes ballroom dancing, become good at it because it's a coordination exercise. And then you want to stimulate it, and there's certain supplements that I actually like theanine, because it helps you feel relaxed, but it really also helps you focus.
And this is over the counter?
Mm-hmm. Rhodiola, ashwagandha, ginseng. We actually make something we like called focus and energy, and we find it stimulates your frontal lobes and your cerebellum at the same time. And then stop hurting it. Alcohol is directly toxic to the cerebellum. I mean, that's why they make you try to walk a straight line, and you can't because your cerebellum's not working. It's being poisoned.
So I hardly ever drink. What are some other things that people do on a day-to-day basis that could be totally just horrific for that?
So if you're playing football, or your kid's playing football, what they're doing is they're banging their frontal lobes. And there's actually this really cool term I like. It's called cross-cerebellar diasthesis. It's like, what does that mean? So you hurt your left frontal lobe, it actually turns off your right cerebellum. And if you hurt your right frontal lobe, it turns off the left cerebellum. And if you're heading soccer balls, you're turning off both sides of your cerebellum. So we just have to do so much better at protecting the brain.
Talk to me about diet's impact on that. What are some main sort of ballpark things that you should be pulling out?
You know, it's not hard. And again, if I put these things on the board, people would get it. Sugar is pro-inflammatory. It increases erratic brain cell firing, and it's addictive. So if you can get rid of or really limit sugar, that's really helpful for people. The more colorful, clean fruits and vegetables, the better. The one misnomer people often have is, oh, I should go on a low-fat diet. The problem with that is 60% of the solid weight of your brain is fat, and low-fat diets can actually trigger depression.
Gucci must be protected from outsiders.
Witness the scandalous true story of one woman who would kill to have it all. House of Gucci, rated R.
And so I like healthy fat, fish, although clean fish. And so swordfish is out. I never would have that. It's just loaded with mercury. And I'm a huge fan of salmon, wild salmon, avocados. They're like God's butter, right? It's just a great brain food for you. You have to be calorie smart because 70% of us are overweight, 40% of us are obese. I published 2 studies that show as your weight goes up, the physical size and function of your brain goes down. Should scare the fat off anyone. When I read that, I ended up losing 30 pounds. You know, I'd like tried for 30 years, and I just never really had the motivation until I went, I'm not going to have a smaller brain. I'm not going to do that. So clean protein, healthy fat, actually at every meal, because it helps stabilize your blood sugar. One of the biggest things that will steal your mind is have a high fasting blood sugar level. It's actually been shown to be associated with brain atrophy, and it makes your blood vessels brittle and more likely to break. So there's a term I like, I didn't coin it, but I like it, called diabesity. It's a combination of being overweight with high blood sugar. It's a disaster for brain function. And this is why people get addicted. It's carbohydrates, simple carbohydrates. So if you ingest a cupcake, your pancreas sees all the sugar and it sends out an insulin burst. Well, that insulin burst drives tryptophan, the amino acid precursor to serotonin, into your brain. So when you eat bread or pasta or potatoes, your brain likes it because it feels happier, it feels more relaxed. Now the problem is it kills you early. And so you have to sort of take this. But you know, the other thing that drives tryptophan into the brain is exercise. And so, and many of my athletes, they exercise intensely so they don't get depressed. And when they get hurt, they get depressed because they can't get their antidepressant fix. And so they'll go to sugar, and then that'll make them feel terrible about themselves. And so know what's good for tryptophan to getting into your brain, and know what's bad.
So before we started rolling, you said something so fascinating. And you said if I were basically an evil genius and I wanted to just absolutely destroy people's health, I would create what kind of lifestyle?
So let's just take this mnemonic I've created on how to keep your brain healthy. It's called Bright Minds. And so if I was the evil ruler, the B in Bright Mind stands for blood flow. Is I would give all children social media and video games and encourage them to play as much as they could, because that would drop blood flow to their brain. Brand new study, the more screen time, smaller the brain. That's a little horrifying. Well, one, they're not going outside. They're not getting exercise. They're not getting the sun. We have a massive deficiency of vitamin D in this country. And exercise increases something called BDNF, or brain-derived neurotrophic factor. It helps your brain grow. So we're losing miracle growth. Retirement and aging is the R in bright minds. If I was an evil ruler, I would let everybody retire at 55 and not have to, and then I'd put them in front of the TV there and make them angry at, whatever political fight is going on. The eye is inflammation, which comes basically from low omega-3 fatty acid levels, processed foods, gut problems. And so I'd like nobody gets fish in my kingdom. And we don't have fresh food. We basically have fast food restaurants. The G is genetics. And I don't know what you have in your family. In mine, I have heart disease and obesity.
Obesity in a big way in my family.
Yeah, but as we can see, genes are not a death sentence. They should be a wake-up call to do the right things to decrease your genetic vulnerability. So if I was the evil ruler, I would go, you have obesity in your family. I'd do a public campaign. So it's in your family. Why worry about it? Live it up. You're going to die early. Enjoy the path. As opposed to what I think is actually more rational is you have this vulnerability. You need to be really serious about your health. H is head trauma. I'd encourage all kids to hit soccer balls with their head, to play tackle football, to ride horses. And people go, well, why are you down on horses? It's like, well, what killed Superman? It was a horse. I can't tell you the number of patients I see who had serious addictions because they had fallen off of a horse and had no frontal lobe function. The T is toxins. So if I was the evil ruler, I would get rid of all of the environmental protections so that we are filled with air pollution, water pollution. And I would tell the manufacturers they don't have to put the ingredients on the labels, not only for food, but also for personal products. And one of the things like parabens and phthalates are hormone disruptors. And aluminum, when we're putting them on our body, whatever goes in your body, goes on your body, goes in your body, becomes your body. I think of alcohol as a health food. We've certainly had that craze. I would legalize, not only legalize marijuana, but it's like, let's not say it's good for us, because all of my published research says it's bad. Now, does that mean that someone's dying of cancer and it'll help their pain and help the nausea and help them eat? God bless them, right? I mean, so let's be rational about it. I just saw someone who'd been smoking pot for 50 years, and his brain was remarkably older than he was. The M is mental health, and if I was the evil ruler, I'd create CNN and Fox News. And that ruins people's health, because they always lead with negative. They increase anger and frustration and polarization. The more you're exposed to it, the angrier you get, and the more it separates you from other people. The I is immunity and infections. I would belittle people who are testing patients for Lyme disease. My great stories are patients who have Lyme. One girl, she's 16, and she became psychotic after a visit to Yosemite, and she had 3 psychiatric hospitalizations. None of the medications worked. She became a shell of herself. She came to our clinic. And I'm like, so what happened at Yosemite? And her mother said, we were surrounded by 6 deer, and we thought it was a magical moment. She got bit by a deer tick that caused Lyme, that then caused her to lose her mind. And on an antibiotic, she got her mind back. The N is neurohormone deficiencies, and so letting kids hit things with their head actually drops their hormone level. And so I test for that. Diabesity, I'd create the American food system. ISIS has nothing on our food industry. And I'm not kidding when I say it, the weapons of mass destruction are highly processed, pesticide sprayed, high glycemic, low fiber, food-like substances stored in plastic containers. They're ruining our health. If I'm right, and I'm not the only one who's published this, there's been, I think, 20 other scientists. As your weight goes up, the size of your brain goes down. It's like, oh my God, if 70% of us are overweight, it's the biggest brain drain in the history of the United States. In fact, it's a national security crisis because they're not as many people are eligible to sign up for military service because we just have an unhealthy population. And if I...
Okay, good morning. Okay. I dimmed my super bright light so that I won't look like a ball of shine up here. But good morning, everybody. I'm Megan of Megan's Plant Boutique. And I do this morning yoga every morning. Thank you, Ramirez, for all the roses. I appreciate all your time and attention. Thanks for coming. I saw you register the other day too, so thanks for doing that. So after I finish my morning flow and I do finish the motivational speech, today we're not actually finished. The speaker today is Dr. Daniel Amen. And he's talking about health theory, and he's saying there are 7 risk factors that destroy your brain. So this was on YouTube from the Impact Theory, which is also a Discord channel. Again, that speaker is Dr. Daniel Amen, and he has a book that, thank you, a ball of sunshine, I appreciate that. He has a book that talks about how to, heal your brain and do the right things for yourself. He even has like an acronym. I think he called it Brain Bright, B-R-A-I-N-B-R-I-G-H-T. That's 11 factors. So he's got 11 things that he thinks are integral for our brain health. And I've heard some of these things before. I actually graduated in psychology and sociology, and these are things that they were starting to talk about. It was new science at the time. I graduated 10 years ago. Whew. But anyway, he's talking about how there are so many different foods that can change the way you behave. There are so many activities that change the way you behave. And I wanted to say that, the last thing he left off on was the food that we eat. He said that terrorist organizations have nothing on the American food system. So if you didn't see that, if you didn't hear that, then I want to say it again. Terrorists have nothing on the American food system. That's what he said. He said the American food system is built to destroy us. He said that, there are so many processed foods and high sugars and whatnot that are completely toxic to our body. And it was so interesting because I believe that, food should be your medicine. And it's so hard because I live in America. Nails, here you go. I live in America. I do them myself, actually, just so you know. Thank you. The food in America, I've always known, is not wonderful. My cousins came from Turkey, and when they came here, they instantly gained like 30 pounds. And they said, the bread that you have here is like cake. Where's your bread? And I said, what do you mean? And they're showing me a loaf of Wonder Bread, like, in Sara Lee. They're like, this is bread, but it's cake. Where do I get bread? And I was just blown away. I didn't realize that we had so much sugar in our foods, and that was my first experience with realizing how different that the American food is than, other countries. So it was really cool having, cousins from Turkey. Yeah, it's hard. I try to eat right, says Ramirez. It's so hard because if you don't get the right amount of sleep, yesterday we listened to something on sleep. If you don't get the right amount of sleep, you're not doing the right things for yourself to go to sleep. Like last night, I actually tried to darken my room more because I realized that I have light from another screen reaching my room. So I figured if I shut that light out, I might get better sleep. And let me tell you, I slept so well. Like in the middle of the night, I'm usually really thirsty. Last night, I drank an entire one of these, and that's 2 liters. This morning, I only drank, overnight, I only drank like almost half of it, not even half. So the night before, I was having a hard time sleeping, and then last night I had a better night sleeping because I just turned off the lights. And that was from the speech that we had listened to yesterday. So if you don't get the sleep, your body craves that sugar. You think you're eating some wheat bread and it's healthy, but it has so much sugar. That's the truth. Like you think, okay, it's wheat bread, it's rye or whatever, all kinds of other breads. It says super healthy on it, right? But it's like you have to flip it over and read all the ingredients and make sure they haven't sneaked it in another way. And I just really love that he talked about how, you know, high impact sports are very dangerous for your brain. I mean, I think that we've known that for the longest time. Even horse riding is dangerous because people can get thrown from a horse. I mean, my dad and my uncle were both thrown from a horse when they were young. And they say that if it's bad, you can, you know, lose a lot of your brain from just a horse toss, getting tossed from a horse. So for all of you out there who are doing high impact sports, please protect yourself. You know, you've got a soft brain and a hard skull. So as soon as your brain mush hits that skull, you could lose some of it. And that's what he was saying, you know, your brain is the only thing you got to get through here. Your brain builds your body. So if you want a strong body, you have to train your brain. And that's what I'm doing here every day at 8 a.m. I mean, when I started doing this, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to come here every day at 8 a.m. It's like, you know, 8 a.m. every day. Do I really want to do it? Yeah, personally, I tell myself yes, because I know that it's good for me. I tell myself that, yeah, you have to do those things that are good for you, because if you don't, you won't be building that person that you want to be. So what are you doing, honey? You know, every breath you take, try to do something more with your life. That's how I am. Anyway, that's what I want to do. He was saying that, you know, Dr. Daniel Amen was saying that you can, he said there, you could do these things to destroy your brain. He said, if you wanted to destroy your brain, stay on social media all day. He says, yes, very good for you, Ramirez. Thank you. Tracy Tuttle says, we are pink today. We were green last time I tune in. Yeah, so I switch, you know, I switch outfits. I have another branded yoga outfit coming in. I'm really excited about it. I try to stay branded, you know, in my Megan's Plant Boutique things, because I'm also trying to promote my plant boutique. In case you didn't notice, I love plants. I have a ton. Usually I try to incorporate one. I love your videos, this crazy bastard. Thank you. I upload these to YouTube, so if you happen to miss one, feel free to catch my YouTube channel. Same thing, Megan's Plant Boutique. My website is megansplantboutique.com, so if you did want to find out everywhere I am, then you can find me all there. I have all my links to everywhere on megansplantboutique.com. I also have it set up for selling, so I haven't moved over all my Etsy shop over there yet. I wanted to get past the holiday season, that way I don't mess up on my website and like leave somebody hanging. I'm really good at follow-up. I'm really good at doing exactly what I say. So when I say I'm showing up here at 8 a.m. every day and I make an event for it every day, I really do. I do it. I do what I say I do. And what's wonderful, I really loved this in the beginning. He was talking about how he studied children. He was saying that, you know, the children who live the longest are those who are conscientious, those who have a little bit of anxiety, those who you know, have a little bit of fear about life, because that fear keeps you going on to be healthy and safe. It protects you. So the children who are conscientious tend to live longer. Tracy Tuttle says, I'm trying to get a snake plant. I feel like they need to be in my house everywhere for some reason. Yes, you can get a ton of snake plants and they'll grow anywhere. They don't need a whole lot of light, so get a bunch. Ramirez says, I missed the part about social media. Can you say more? Yes, so Dr. Daniel Amen was saying that if he wanted to have a kingdom where he poisoned everybody, you know, instead of trying to help everybody's brain, this is what he would do. He said he would encourage every child, he would make sure it was free for every child to have access to social media and video games. He would make sure that they did not go outside, because we need vitamin D. If we don't get any vitamin D, we get depressed. We have a lot of vitamin D deficiency. So when we're, you know, swiping through our social medias, we're not really conscientious. We're just kind of mindlessly scrolling. So if you mindlessly scroll, you've got to figure out why you're doing that. What are you missing in your life? Do you feel like you are scrolling because you're missing a purpose in your life? You know, are you missing, you know, that exercise? So you're watching people exercise, you're not exercising with them? I don't know. So me personally, I felt a little depressed when I started doing this because I didn't know what I was missing. So I thought I'd try something I hadn't tried before. And I tried yoga, and I tried doing it every single day. And I feel a lot better because I'm working on my brain and I'm working on my body. So, you know, building my body. Am I hearing things? You probably hear my spa radio in the background and my water trickling from my hydroponic station. I'm here having coffee now. I'm having coffee too. Let me grab mine. I haven't even taken my first sip. My husband brought it to me. Oh. Okay, choke on my first sip. It becomes a habit to log on. Yes, so that's what I want to say too. So that's what I want to, people say it takes 30 days to build a habit. And it does, because your brain needs to know, like, your brain likes routine. Your brain loves routine. And if you have a really good routine, then you've trained your brain, you know? I used to have a solid routine when I was like extremely busy and everybody directed my day, you know, like when you're a student and, you know, you have all this coursework and you have a schedule, you got to stick to it, and you have a job that you got to clock in and clock out, and you have to be here at exact times. Those things keep you very in your routine. But sometimes we get tired because we're drained from a negative routine. So if we don't do the things that are right, like exercise and eat right and sleep right, then we won't, you know, feel good. We'll feel depressed and we'll feel beaten down. We won't live as long. We'll be obese. I mean, this is the American system, if you haven't noticed. Definitely stretch. It's better than working out. Stretch, people, for real. So I didn't want to do like squats and jumping jacks and things like that. You know, it wasn't something for me. I wanted to stretch because I felt like, you know, when I stretch, I don't know, pull the tension out of my body. I just feel less tense. And I'm a very tense person, you know, and I'm intense sometimes. So, you know, from being that tense person, you know, stretching very much helps. Are you a personal trainer? No, I'm not a personal trainer. I'm not a yogi. I'm just somebody out here who's committed to changing myself. He's going to be a great husband, whatever he decides. Yeah, I do have a wonderful husband. I love that scent when everybody directed your day. It's like your day, I love that scent. And when everybody directed your day, it's like your day, like what you want to do. Trust me, they're going to figure it out. All the jogging is not good for you. It's bad for your knees. You know, personally, I'm not somebody who likes to jog. I like to roller skate because it's a little less impact. So I use the quads, you know, 4 wheels rather than all inline. So I like quads. Those are fun. So if you all were here listening to the Daniel Amen Theory, I'm going to post this on YouTube here in a little while. Thank you, Ramirez, for sending likes. Thank you all for following along. Thank you for joining my morning yoga. So I do this every day at 8 a.m. So after I finish, I'm going to create a new event on TikTok so that everybody can RSVP and join me for tomorrow. I'm going to play this this same speech, but the end of it. So I'm going to go back maybe 5 or 10 minutes and then continue on. Yes, I still roller skate for middle school. It's fun. Your first name, I've only tuned into you 3 times. We'll come back. We'll be doing this every day at 8 a.m. Please say my name. It's Omri or Omari. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I hope I said it right. So good morning to everybody who's just tuning in. I will upload this to YouTube after, and then your first name, mine's Tracy. Hey, Tracy. So yeah, Megan is my first name. I'm Megan of Megan's Plant Boutique. So I have a link in my bio that's full of my Etsy shop plants. So if you all want to see what I have available, I do have a 20% off sale going on right now. So if you want some Christmas gifts, you want your mom and dad to get you something like plants, come hit up my shop. Go show them my Etsy shop. I'm Megan of Megan's Plant Boutique. If you are a mom and dad, your kids do love plants. I even have some propagation kits where people can explore about growing mediums. So if they want to check out, you know, the difference, how plants root better in perlite or leca or orchid bark or sphagnum moss. Ooh, and I have crystal gel I added too. So if you all are looking into you know, basically teaching your kid a little science experiment or learning for yourself, that prop kit is amazing. I think I only have it listed for like 15 bucks. So it's a steal. And I even have one that has plants. So you can get a kit that has the plants with prop kit, or you can get, you know, prop kit and then pick your own plants. I have my listings up like that too. I wasn't even thinking, let's have some more coffee. I know I choked on my first sip, right? Okay. A boy's heart followed the host. Thank you. And don't forget to garden, because people have the grocery prices. Oh yes. So I have this book, and it's called, I wanted to bring this up, it's called A Well-Gardened Mind. And I loved it because it was, partially tying in psychology and with the gardening. And when you garden, you get so in touch with nature and plants, and you learn so much. Like, this little plant here, I've had it for so long, and he's having a hard time. You can see that it is a waffle that is a variegated waffle. And these are so sensitive to over and under watering. And you can see my purple waffle right there. So that's a purple waffle. I've got another purple waffle up here, another one in here somewhere, and another purple waffle off to the side. And I grew it all from a waffle that was this size. So even though they're the same type of plant, they have different requirements. So, they're both known as a waffle. But what's interesting is that we're all humans, yet we're all very different. So what I learned about gardening applies to people. You grow at your own rate. And yeah, the grocery store prices, inflation is getting out of control. The government printed a lot of money in the last couple of years. So inflation is really turning into a railroad off the tracks. It's risen 30% as of this year. If you're not into the stock market, I gotta say. Cryptos are crazy right now. Let's see. You are so beautiful. Thank you so much. Wow, you work out before coffee. Yes. Honestly, I think coffee is bad for you, and it's a habit that I want to break, but I haven't broken it yet. Personally, I like the smell of coffee. I like that it's warm. These are the things that I like about coffee, but after I drink coffee, I feel dehydrated. So I feel like I hold my coffee, I drink a couple sips, and I'm trying to tell myself that, you don't really need coffee because it's just another caffeine source. And it's like, why don't you just drink lemon water, honey? Room temperature lemon water does so much better. That's like an Eastern medicine trick. Helps to, get your, I don't know, maybe it was your lymphatic system, I'm not sure. But lemon water is where it's at if you start your morning with lemon water. I never drank coffee, can't handle the taste. Good for you, because you probably should never start. I think it's a habit that, we got sold a long time ago so that we'd spend an extra $5 a day, so that we'd be, having less in our finances because we're spending money on frivolous things that we don't really need, that don't really do good for our body. I do too. I'm going to switch to tea. Thank you. Sweet tea is actually much better. I mean, look at the benefits of your teas. Like, Eastern medicines are really awesome. I feel like a lot of times people put them under the rug as like fake voodoo magic, witchcraft, herbalism, or whatever. But like, hello, let food be your medicine. Like, who said that? Let food be thy medicine. Was it Aristotle? I'm not sure. If someone knows, please comment. Let food be our medicine. So the Eastern approach is very, very intelligent when it comes to treating, and preventing diseases. Like, Asian people look very young, and it's probably because they drink lemon water or tea in the morning instead of coffee. And when people drink coffee, like the countries that I see like coffee, like Turkey, they drink coffee in like little cups like this, They don't use big cups like this. They use little half cups, Like, I actually have a Turkish tea glass. I should compare that. But their coffee is like twice as strong too. So I don't know. Their coffee is a little different too. So it's interesting. I'm really, really curious about the differences now between foods in different countries and drinks in different countries in America after what this man said. I can't wait to listen to the second half of this. Motivational speech that we were listening to this morning when we were doing our yoga. You all are super active today. I love it. I never drank coffee until I met my husband. I want to say this too. Yesterday, the guy who was speaking, he left us off on the note and it says, the 5 people that we spend the most time with, we become the most like. So our husbands, if they're not doing good things, we got to help train them to do the right things too. Because, we're all humans, we're all animals, and we all will struggle. So, teach your 5 best friends anything healthy that you ever learn, and hopefully they teach you too. I loved that he said, the other guy yesterday, I think it was Stevenson, Steve Stevenson, I think that was his name, or it was Sean Stevenson. So he was saying something like, you know, if you have a healthy friend who's always in the gym and you want to hang out with that friend, you're not going to go, hey, you want to go get a McRib? He's going to say no. He's going to be like, no, I'm not going to blow all my gains. But if you ask your friend, hey, you want to go get lunch at Whole Foods or something, then he's probably going to be like, yeah, I'll do that. And then you build healthy habits for yourself too by seeking out those healthy people. So personally, I don't have a lot of people that I'm around. I have my neighbors. I stay pretty isolated. I'm a plant person, you know. And my main exposures are parasocial relationships on like TikTok. Wild, I know. But, you know, I call my mom, I call my dad, and I talk to my husband, and I keep in touch with my family. So those are my friends. That and a couple people online that are super awesome and inspirational. So I like to follow people who are better than me, who I think have, you know, better skills than I do for life. That way I can kind of, you know, figure out what they're doing and learn from them. Are you familiar? I have a question since you're into plants. Oh gosh, sorry, I've been missing these. I like tea. Tracy says they're almost like shot glasses, but they're round. Yes, they are. They're just like, and they're bell-shaped too in a way. I have a question since you're into plants, says Ramirez. Are you also familiar with the medicinal benefits of specific plants? Woo, Tracy, I would love to be more knowledgeable about the medicinal effects of plants. But let me tell you, I know someone who is, and her name is All My Roots. All My Roots. She's here on TikTok. So All My Roots is somebody who talks about wild foraging. Also, Foraging Fosters. Foraging Fosters is another person who knows about medicinal effects of plants. I really like All My Roots because she's in Florida and she knows about Florida natives. So All My Roots has been teaching us about Biden's elbow and what else did she show us? She showed us some mimosa tree. But yeah, she knows about the natives, and she taught us that purslane is actually an edible, very, very beneficial weed that we've been picking out of our gardens. And actually a purslane growing in my pavers right now. Who knew? It's actually an annual, but it reseeds itself and comes back everywhere. So All My Roots, one last time, in case you haven't found her, she is somebody who knows a lot about the medicinal effects of plants, personally. That would be my friend Carol. And I just got back from a trip 3 days. I have a neighbor named Carol, and she is very planty. So if you know her, and if you all are in the gardening club together, that would be really cool because she's taught me a lot. Carol came by my house one day and she said, oh, I saw my crotons. I was like, why are my crotons looking so crummy? And she said, oh, you've got, you know, a pest. So just get this, you know, bug stuff and just dump a gallon over it and it'll be over. And I was like, you know, I didn't ask any sciencey, you know, facts or why, you know, it might happen. I just trusted her because, you know, she has beautiful crotons in her yard, so she must know, right? So I did exactly what she said and tossed a gallon of this stuff over, you know, this systemic bug dilution over my crotons, and my pest problem was solved. So if you know the same Carol, that would be so cool. Let's see, I want plants, says Jordan. Jordan, go to my website. It's megansplantboutique.com. You can also click the link in my bio. I have a huge sale on my plants, really good deals, mystery boxes available with mystery cuttings available. So if you are looking for plants, go check out my shop because I have a ton and they're super awesome and I get a lot of good reviews on them and I love doing it. And I pack them like gifts so everybody who gets them feels like they're getting presents every time. I'm isolated too, that's why she took me out of my comfort zone. Yeah. Tomato grocery store. Best teas, hard to get. Tomato grocery store, 100 lady teas, hard to get. I have a favorite tea, personally, and it's called Throat Comfort by it's a Yogi brand or whatever, but it's a really pungent tea. It's very flavorful. I can't remember what all is in it at the moment, but I do know that it's really good. I order it on Amazon by like the 6 packs because it's nice. I like to, you know, drink that from time to time too. Awesome, I'll look them up. Just one more time so you remember, it's All My Roots. All My Roots, Ramirez. Everybody needs to get soap that's made of goat's milk. Just saying, people. You know, I want to say this, Tracy Tuttle. So, All My Roots actually taught me that yucca, the yucca plant, has saponin. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but that specific ingredient is what our soaps are made out of, and you need that ingredient, and yucca, the plant yucca, has it. Personally, I try to get away from animal byproducts and things like that because I don't think we were intended to use them. I think we were intended to use a lot of plant-based medicines, but you know, then again, what do I know? I didn't go to school for that, you know, so maybe goat's milk soap is better. I don't know personally. I don't have a goat or goat milk or goat milk soap to test it out. What's that white machine behind you? You're talking about this right here. That's my humidifier. So I don't know if you can see just a small stream of humidity coming up, the vapor. So that helps my syngonium that is sitting right beside this little boy. Actually, this one's a girl. It's a Maria syngonium. It helps its leaves unfurl appropriately. I have a few more syngoniums over through here. My waffles get crispy too if I don't use the humidity or the humidifier. I have 2 humidifiers in this room. You see one on this side, there's one on the other side. This camera is about halfway through the room. So I have 2 of those humidifiers in this room because even though they say they cover like 350, 500 feet, and this is like a 350, square foot room, they don't really cover that much for the plants anyway. The plants actually like a lot more humidity. They like it directly on them. Like when you get a steam on your face or you're doing a sauna, it's all over you and enveloping you. They want that too. So they like that intense humidity. So I run them, that one for half a day, and then I do the other one for half a day, because if I do too much, then, you know, it's just overkill personally, in my opinion. I'm still learning and testing theories too. So let's see. No, we've been in gymnastics for years. Went to Florida. She got me out of the house. Gymnastics is amazing. When I was like, I don't know, a 6th grader, for like 3 months, I went to gymnastics and tried to be a cheerleader, but then I moved and I couldn't even do a back bend then. Papa D did such a good job packing. I'll let him know. He's tickled to death to help. He's like, how can I help? How can I help? What can I do? He wants to help so bad, and he does. He does a great job. Hi again, Freak Brat. Welcome. It's a humidifier. Yup. It's my life. They're still asking me to teach. Well, maybe you can, you know, maybe one day a week, do a little bit. Did you know mayonnaise on leaves helps plants? So actually I use neem. So I don't have mayonnaise in my house. I don't use mayonnaise for anything, but I use neem. And I want to say this, I found a hair product. I can't remember the brand. I think I took a picture of it though. And it was a high-end hair product, one you would find at a salon, and it had neem oil. What do you all think about that? I was kind of curious. I don't either, but my dad said plants like mayonnaise and put it on your hair with saran wrap for lice. Yes. I remember those days when I was like in kindergarten and everybody had, you know, those scares and you had to come home with the mayo hair and figure that out. Ooh, what a nightmare. I'm glad those days are over. Let's see. You all have been so engaging here. You all kept me here all the way till 9. I don't usually stay for a whole hour. I usually try to clock out about 15 minutes before the hour. But because it's Thursday, I don't have any packages to pack. I wait until Monday, because if I ship today, that would mean that some people could possibly have their packages caught on Sunday, you know, in the mail truck. And I'd rather your mail not sit in a hot or cold truck somewhere on a Sunday, so I like to ship on Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. So with that, if you guys haven't visited my shop, go check it out. That's why I do all of this. I try to build a little bit of awareness for my brand as well. I will be back at 8 a.m. tomorrow. I'm going to schedule another event. That way you all can register to join at 8 a.m. Thank you, Ramirez, for staying with me too. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Thank you for the roses too. That is too sweet. Thank you. I hope everyone has a wonderful day and can come back tomorrow. So I'll check on you later.